And I'm gonna get the music off. Although you can't hear it when I do that, apparently, but I can. So, guys, how are you? I've got my old camera back, which is probably a good idea because the other one's just driving me bananas. So let me just get myself in a bit of frame there. What's happening in your part of the world, wherever you are? My eyes are going to have to adjust now because I've been reading and writing, and now I've got to get why is this like that? It's like I'm wearing an off-the-shoulder number. Come on, get the wardrobe right, Mahoney. You should be a professional at this. I see Nicholas joining us from New Zealand. How are you, Nicky? We spent a day together in Seville a couple of years ago. It was fun, that wasn't it? I had no air conditioning in my car. We were sweating like maniacs. um, I've had a very interesting week, but a very interesting day today. I'm going to let the numbers build up a bit, and I'll share it. Is the volume okay? Everybody good? You can hear me, see me? Everything all right? Jolly, jolly good. Well, I spent the day at Akashic Records Mastership. So I spent 8 hours in an intensive workshop, although it was very small, very what's the word? Um, Intimate. There was about how many was it? Two, three, four. There's five of us plus Shima, who took the course. Did you see the interview I did with Shima? Who saw the interview? Let me get the chat up. Who's watched that? Have you watched it yet? Dude, let me see what the chat is. Hello, everybody. Yes, Chrissy's watched it. Yes, Ed's watched it. Ed, I got an email from you today. I was going to read that later. I just saw that. Thank you. I did see it. Yeah, Shima has really just walked into my life at exactly the right time, which is really, again, divine placement is what you'd call that. Because it's a part that I kind of need to fulfill what I'm supposed to be doing because a lot of the past life stuff, the lessons that you get, if you can access those records, then you can learn from them, and it really does help on your life mission, which is what I'm going to talk about. Life mission. Yeah, because it's I get the same questions all the time, really. Um, and life mission is one of them. So when the numbers build up a bit, I'll start talking about that. It was pouring with rain when I woke up this morning. I was hoping it was going to be a nice, bright, sunny day because I've got some filming to do. I've got something interesting happening I can't talk about. But if it comes off, it's going to be a really wow, a really big. Um, what can I say about that? I can't tell you until it happens. In case you jinx it for me. Not that I think you're a jinx personally, but um, no, I shouldn't have mentioned it really. But if it does come off, it's going to come off really quickly. So you know really quickly. It's not going to be a 6 month deal. It's going to be a 6 week deal. But it's going to catapult me forward and get access to people, which is exactly what I want to do. Because the bottom line, what I'm now focusing on is getting the message across. Because look, if you think about it this way, this is a battle between good and evil, right? It's been like that forever, but we really got the gist of it during COVID days. We saw how dark the governments were, how what they were trying to do, keeping us all living in fear all the time. There's another war coming out. There's more disease, more afflictions, more viruses. And at the end of the day, really the only people that were affected by it were the ones that decided to go and get that free medical thing, just in case I get this one banned. I won't talk about it, but you know what I'm talking about because these are the people really that are suffering. So all of those screamers that were saying, "You're killing my grandmother. I'm not letting you in the house until you go get it." These are people that are suffering health-wise. Believe me, I see them every day asking for help from the supplements I do. Um, and I wanted to show you actually why I've got that in mind. Look, I just set up my whole supplements for the week. Can you see that? That is each one of those little boxes there. That is my daily. So I do one of those and one of those. They're each individual. Look, they're all marked, these little pill boxes. We've been giving these away to people. But that's what I take every day. I reckon that's about 18 or 20. I haven't counted them. And then there's some night ones as well. The night ones are only about six. But they're working incredibly well because metabolically, I'm 38, I'm coming up on 55. It is a bit of a struggle to get them down. It's like 5 pills each sip of water, so it is a bit of a battle. But I see the difference. I saw something turn blue in front of me. He's okay, but what's what are you talking about, Maria? Is that I missed that conversational chat? Yeah, people. A lot of people say, "Wow, that's a lot," but it is a lot. But I've got used to it. Dr. Corey was the same. She's taking all her own supplements, and look how great she looks. She's nearly 60. She looks great. No, I don't eat because one of the great. I tell you what, I'll talk while the numbers build. That one, Resculpt. Okay, I tell you how this works, guys. That one, I'm just doing some videos about it now. Basically, there's two ingredients in here. We used to do them in two different bottles, but there's an SLU 332, and that tricks your body into burning fat like it's been at the gym. So I do go to the gym. I'm in the gym. I try to go 5 days a week. I usually get three minimum, but it tells your body that it's burning fat. So you'll start losing weight. It normally takes about 300 grams off me a day when I'm on it. If I'm good with the diet and no heavy meals. I've been laying off the heavy meals and laying off the red wine, which is what I normally would have with a meal. Um, Now I don't cook at home because I live alone. There's no point. I find it, what's the point doing this whole meal for yourself and you sit there like Norman no mates going. But I do most of my friend catch-ups and business and meetings and stuff with my team over a meal usually. So where am I going with all of this? Yeah, and the second part of the ingredient in that is an appetite suppressant. So if you are looking to lose weight, guys, this works like phenomenally well. And you'll see a lot of the Joe Rogan people are all talking about this SLU 332, which is in there, this peptide. Now, the other ingredient in there, it kills your appetite. So the way to use this, you take two in the morning when you wake up on an empty stomach and stop looking at your watch saying, oh, it's 9:30, it's breakfast time, or it's 8:30, it's breakfast time. Don't. You got to eat when your body tells you you're hungry because the reason people are not losing weight on this is because they're eating because they're looking at the watch. It's lunchtime, it's dinner time, it's breakfast time. Don't do it. Eat when you're hungry. It's like go to sleep when you're tired. Don't just go to sleep because it's 10:30 or 11:30. Are you tired? Go to sleep. So that's working exceptionally well, and I'm feeling amazing. So, more to come on all of that. I'm going to be launching some videos. We got banned yet again. Visa said, no, we're not processing any of your payments. You've been bad boys. You're selling stuff that we don't like because it's big pharma. What's Jody say? Recog is the best, huge difference. Yeah, the recognitive one we do, which is there. I've just set these all up. That's why they're on the desk in the studio. Recog. No, there's a few left in there because I put them all in there. And I also do that NAD plus. This is the anti-aging one I do, and I use that with. Where's the other one? It's matched with Reversatrile Rejuvenate. I've just thrown that one out because it's empty. Rejuvenate. That one. That's fantastic as well. So the reason my metabolic age is 38 and not 55 is because I take all these pills every day. So I use my own products. I don't take any stuff from health food stores anymore. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Right, so let's get back into, unless you have questions, guys, do you have any specific questions? You want me to talk about a particular subject? Absolutely put it in the panel because we can do that. We can talk about something. If you're still looking to do it, if you're still looking to get some info about a particular emotion that you're struggling through or on your journey, I'm very open to having some questions thrown at me. But in the meantime, I am watching the questions. I've got the little box open on the screen. In the meantime, I'm going to talk about some notes that I put down that have been channeling into me. Um, and one of them is life mission. Mahoney, what is my life mission? How do I figure out what my life mission is? I need to know what my life mission is because I would absolutely be comfortable placing a bet. If you're watching the material that I'm producing, then your frequency is on the right path. You are interested in this sort of stuff, unless you just like the ramblings of a 55-year-old guy once or twice a week, then okay. But um, if you're wondering what your life mission is and how you can figure out what it is, it's a big question. It's a big question on everybody's lips that wants to know How can I figure out what it is, Mahoney? And it's not an easy task because it could be something really complex. It could be something really simple. Like, for example, I met a woman today whose life mission she discovered was to break karmic ties for people. So, a karmic tie is an agreement you made with somebody in your past lives that keeps coming back up on this life. Now, I'll tell you one of mine, so you've got a good example, right? Because I've had 3 sessions plus this training session today about linking into past lives. Yeah. So there was a woman in my life who I'd sponsored. She was from Brazil. I sponsored her, and she wanted to move here and she wanted to get her daughter over from Brazil. I said, okay, I'll help you. She was my friend's nanny. And during COVID, she was the nanny. And then she sort of went off and lost her way a little bit and got involved in a situation in France with a really bad person that was owning a restaurant that was abusing the hours that she was working. And I said, listen, that's not going to, you got to get trained up to do something good. So I noticed that she had very good and very steady hands because I asked her one day, would she mind cutting off a couple of moles on my back because I can't reach them? And if you think that's weird, it is a bit weird. But because I was trained medically when I was doing all that medical evacuation stuff, and I was dating a doctor for a while, a few years, 10 or 12 years ago now, I know how to do this. So what I do is I have a travel kit, and in that travel kit, I've got iodine, which is what you would put inside your tooth when you take a tooth out. So you use painkiller. What you do is you jab. We'd have to use this on in South America when we're in the middle of nowhere. Imagine you're on a motorcycle, you have an accident, and you can't just bandage the wound. You got to sew the wound up because you're in the middle of nowhere. You can't take the pain. So what we would do is we jab it with lidocaine, and then you wouldn't feel it, so you'd be able to sew it up. And believe me, we've had to do it. So I said, just jab that mole because I had one here. Every time I put a shirt on, it used to bleed, I was catching it shaving. And for years, it drove me bananas. So I noticed, I said, do us a favor, jab it and then cut it off with a scalpel. And I noticed she had amazing hands, steady hands. I said, wow, I was really impressed with that. So I sponsored her to become a dental hygienist. And in fairness, the 3-year course, she did it in about 14 months. All she did was study. I was like, okay, fair enough, that's great. Then she was able to get a residency, and she got a residency in Spain, was getting because she got a good job. Now she's moving her daughter over from Brazil. Great start. But something happened between me and her, and she got mad at me one day, and I said, listen, you can't just come around here all the time. And, you're going, she was going into places and introducing herself as Mrs. Mahoney, just totally nuts. So I realized, oh, that's a problem. So she disappeared and I felt bad, but she just kind of up and left. And I was like, well, you could have said thank you or something. And I've not heard from her since. So I think it's, you feel a bit guilty, you feel a bit shameful for doing it. People do these things. But yeah, take her. I felt, what, after everything I've done, and that's you don't get a thanks. She just, as soon as she had the residency, 10 days later, she was gone. But these things happen. Love and light. I hope you're very happy. But I was wondering what the connection was. I said, why is this person coming to my life? I was curious. And when we did some digging, it turned out there was a karmic tie between this woman and me, which means there was an unfinished, um, it's funny. Juliana was her name, actually. You were Mary David. Maria David just wrote Julianne. Juliana was her name. Anyway, the karmic tie was this. It was from a Roman lifetime where she was the wife of another guy, and she was trying to seduce me because of the power and she wanted to play it like that. So it didn't work, but she was angry because she got found out. And it kind of ruined her relationship. So since Roman times, that karmic agreement has been there. This is how this shit works. It goes back thousands of years. Some of them are only recent. So we had to clear it, and we did a very interesting ceremony. She came in. She said, "Okay, everything's forgiven," and then it's gone. But you can have hundreds of karmic ties that go back hundreds of lifetimes. I found out. Okay, so I figured out what that one was. That one's done. I'll never see her again, which is good. But now the energy's been cleared and the contract's been cancelled. So she's happy. I'm happy. The reason she came back into my life was for me to understand about this, to clear it, because she's been carrying it from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. And she needed it cleared. Like she was angry at me. And I said, okay, look, it wasn't my fault. You made a play. You got caught. Your husband caught you. And that was, 2000 years ago. Move on. See how women keep things. It's 2000 years ago. How can you still be angry at me? Hmm. So, your life journey. What is your life mission? Now, not everybody has got the access to this sort of stuff that I'm doing, and these people that keep coming into my life, which I'm so grateful for. Oh my God, I'm so grateful for that. I sound like a valley girl all of a sudden. Oh God. But here's the little exercise you can do, okay? So, what is your life mission? So, you got to write down all the things that spark your interest. What all of a sudden, like if you're watching television and something came on, National Geographic or gardening or anything that comes on television. Do you like history? Do you like geography? Do you like traveling? You've got a thing about the ocean. Do you like, have you always dreamed about sailing across the Atlantic? Write down all the things that really spark your interests. Like mine, World War II aviation. I love all those, great big piston planed engines and thundering. Have you ever heard of a Spitfire fly past you? Oh my God, that's like, it's such an amazing sound when what is it, a V12, isn't it? 12-cylinder engine comes over. It's a huge engine, those Spitfires. When it thunders overhead, I get the chills. It makes me go, ah. And then when I was very young, I was in Hamburg, and another incident gave me the chills. I was looking up they're very kind of narrow, tall buildings, like maybe 5 stories in them, no lift. And I realized I was getting very emotional, and I was started to cry when I was looking at them because I remember seeing it on World War II newsreels about these buildings burning in Hamburg. And there's a huge World War II past life for me, which I uh, I called. I said, "Can you do me a favor? Can you just ask, not for today, but just in general, was there a lifetime where I was in aviation, a pilot in World War II Germany, and I died in water?" And it was a huge yes. I was like, I knew it. And then I said, "Is there a karmic tie still attached to that?" Yes. And so what it was I made a promise to my children, I'll be back. I love you. Don't worry, daddy's going to be okay. And I didn't. I got shot down and I died. So that karmic tie, I have to now investigate because I can still investigate who that was and the family and see if I can find out more about them. Something I'm going to do when I get round to it. It's not top of my list, but it is something I'm very passionate about, which is where I'm going with you. So if you're watching television, archaeology, do you like stuff in South America? Are you fascinated with Native American Indian stuff? Write down all the things that you love that you cannot get enough of. Pirates, it could be ancient Rome, ancient Greece, Marco Polo, Lawrence of Arabia. It could be, Arabian Nights, Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. You took it from me, my friend. It is mine now. So, because this is a clue, things that you find unusually passionate about, and you seem to know more than you should, whether it's a country or a subject, there is a big clue in that. So you can start investigating that. Write down the things that you're not interested in, if that helps, because sometimes it does, like what am I not interested in? Gardening. I have absolutely no interest in gardening. Although one of my favorite smells, in fact, I would absolutely say it is the smell of freshly cut grass. When the lawnmower's out and somebody's cutting the grass. Always smell a bit different in the USA, but in England and Ireland, when they're cutting the grass, that smells like, oh my God, I love that smell. Don't know what it is. Past life memories, something very pleasant, maybe lying in the grass. But there are certain things that will spark certain memories. Like, why would you like that? And then there's other things that you just got absolutely no interest in. My son is coming up in 29, absolutely no interest in cars. And no matter what I do to try and get him sparked in an interest, he's like, yeah. He has a driving license, but he's just not interested. Although I got him to move some cars with me the other day, and I was like, softly. But he's just not interested. If I handed him a screwdriver, he'd hold it wrong. He's got zero clue how to use a basic. Couldn't change a car tire. Doesn't know how to put oil in. I mean, maybe he puts oil in it, but he's just got zero interest. And considering I can strip a whole engine down and play with it, and I can drive a car and listen to it, and you can even feel what's going on. I was like, I know exactly what's wrong. The passion of mine, engines, which I think goes back to World War II, because I don't like all in the modern stuff, the electronics and everything. Most of the cars I'm passionate about um, are over 10 years old. I think I got one new car, but I never use it. That's on a business deal. It's a rent a car basically. Um, so what are you passionate about? And then you can start investigating that. And why would you be passionate about it? So it's a really strange thing. I love watching films about, sort of ancient Greece, Ulysses and the Odyssey, this sort of stuff. It's all a clue into where your past life was. And then what do you find yourself really wanting to do? Like if you were to sit down and say to yourself, you know what, I really wish I'd trained to be a forensic scientist. I would love that. I would love that, being a forensic guy. But I absolutely think it's not too late to start your life journey because it can come at any minute. You can just change things and because you can. Have you heard the expression, I just had it and it's gone, where you jump time, you time jump. Jumping timelines. So what jumping timelines means is that instead of going through one, two, three, four, something happens when you get a boost and you go from one to four. You bypass two and three, so you're jumping timelines. That happens to me quite a lot. I've noticed. All of a sudden I'm sort of got myself right into a situation where I said, "Well, this is advanced rather quickly," but also can go wrong. Or that went wrong quickly, so you can go back as well. Um, and there's all sorts of things you can do on your life mission. You could be in charge of a humanitarian stuff. You're helping people get back on. You could be counseling people. There's so many different possibilities that you can do. But I would start off by writing down the things that you feel passionate about, and also write down the things that you just can't explain why you're so interested in. Your husband comes in the room and you say, "Oh, you're not watching that upstairs, downstairs again, are you?" You know, Yeah, maybe you were a maid in a past life, but a lot of the past life stuff is going to help you. I am going to do more interviews with Shima. We're going to do a series of interviews. I'm actually trying to get her out on the road with me, um, to hit somewhere historic and sort of get into the energetics like that. But she's very difficult. She's really busy, and she won't commit to it. I've noticed. And come on, come out with me for 3 or 4 hours. We'll shoot up, do something, film it. But I think I'm going to get her outside to do an interview rather than the studio because I think it's rather boring in studios and she has a lot of energy. If I get her into an historic place, she'll pull it apart by accessing the Akashic Records and it'll be like, "Ooh, yeah, baby, let's get it." So, what was your life mission? What do you feel passionate about? Write down all the things that spark your passion. And here's another thing I hear a lot is people say to me, "Mahoney, I feel lost. I'm lost." And what are you lost? I'm just lost. I don't know what direction to go in life. But same thing I've just told you, that will answer that question. You're feeling lost. You need to go back and figure out where you came from and what you're passionate about. Because when you're lost, what you have to do is you have to find your bearings, don't you? Go, okay, where am I now? Does this feel right? It's the same thing in like if you're on a journey, it's the same thing in your life journey. Does this feel right? Am I lost? Am I on the right track? And people often say, "What do you think, Mahoney?" Well, I'm not thinking. It's what do I feel about it? You got to use your heart for all of these things. You know, I heard a good one today. Michael Schumacher, how long's he been in that coma? His brain's gone, but his heart is still pumping. So the heart's the first organ that develops in the womb as a fetus and pregnancy. And it's a very powerful organ, and most people don't think that there's any sort of other connection, just it's doing its job. But how does it do that job? How does it know? If you're brain dead, God bless Michael Schumacher. I mean, his family never released anything, but it's something that most people know about. If you're in a coma and you're brain dead, well, how is your heart still beating? What's telling it to still beat? What's telling it to still beat? Is it coming from the brain? How can it be? The brain's dead. Heart still lives quite a long time after the brain dies. Um, Nicola from New Zealand said Schumacher's in the witness protection. I would love to think that. You know what? Child trafficking, Formula One kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because they ship those containers all over the world. They spend billions on racing cars around the circuit. I mean, we get some technology comes out like anti-locking brakes and things like this, and there is some good technology jumps, but I never understood why people are so fanatical about it and, spending millions shipping cars. Every 2 weeks they go from Australia and then they're shipping the other side of the world to Italy. Why don't you do Australia and then you kind of go down to Singapore? Maybe this seems to be, crazy. All right, it's shipping as far as possible. So, mm. Now, what else have I got on my list? There's many people seeking answers out there for many things in their life. And I am a firm believer that you have the answers inside you already. You just don't know how to tune in. And that's all about frequency. Because have I got any on the desk? Love is another one. I can't seem to attract the right partner, Mahoney. Can't seem to, hang on, my camera's gone out of focus. There we go. I've been single for so many years, Mahoney. Can't seem to find the right one, Mahoney. Um, I had one woman texting me like a maniac. Said, "Can you do me a video on this?" I said, "Yeah, you're not vibrating on the right frequency." And then all of a sudden, she just became really like, "Hey, you, why haven't you answered me?" I'm like, "Are we married or what? Why would you, I'm expecting to answer you just like that? And you think I got nothing else to do?" She was very strange energy off. And in the end, I had to block her. I said, "I'm not putting up with that. I've got really strong boundaries. I'm a really nice guy, and I answer everybody, but you take the if you abuse it, I'm not going to put up with that." And I don't get belligerent. I just say, I got other stuff to do. You know what? I tried. You're not grateful, so why am I going to spend more time on you? Um, Many people seeking answers. But again, it's a bit like being lost. You've got to go back one stage, haven't you? You've got to say, okay, what do I need the answers for? And what is it? Am I in the right relationship? Is this the right person for me? Which is where I was going. Because you know what? If you are single and you have been for a while and you're thinking, why am I still single? There's a few reasons for it. Number one, well, these are not in particular any order, just we'll say this is number one, is have you done the internal work and are you ready? Because if someone perfect was to walk into your life, would you be losing it when they said, listen, babe, I'm just going to go out and see my mates for a couple of beers after work? Would you be the person saying, well, how long are you going to be? Who's going there? No, no, I need you to come home, you know? Are you still in that sort of insecure zone when you do have a partner or someone in your life? I wonder where he's going next. Is he cheating on me? I wonder. Do I look, getting in this energy? And then it becomes controlling, then it becomes nagging, and then you're going to push him away. He's like, oh my God, I just want a couple of beers, but can you just let me have it? I just want to go out and play snooker or darts or something with my friends. So the question is, have you done the work? If you do meet the right person, is he going to think, "Oh my God, this is just such a perfect woman or man for me"? It's like they know me. It's like I can't believe it because 9 times out of ten, and I see this all the time. People have not done the healing work. I've got a friend of mine now. His girlfriend is super clingy. You can't even go for a couple of pints after work. He likes to just sit there. He's an Irish guy. He likes to sit there and just have a couple of pints and crack on with the guys. But his girlfriend just shows up in the pub, and it ruins ruins the atmosphere for everyone. And it was like, why is she? Where's she? How did she know you were here? So you got to do the internal work. You got to heal. You got to say, okay, what was the last relationship? Why did it go wrong? What do I need to work on myself? What do I need to improve? What do I need to clear? What was the issue? And taking responsibility is a huge part of this. You've got to be responsible, and be grateful. When someone hurts you, this is something I've learned recently. Thank you. Thank you for teaching me about that. Now I know. Now I know. And you got to do it that way, because people are sent into your life for a reason. The people, God will send you people in there and you'll take them away for a different reason than he sends them in. But they're all there for a reason. You've just got to figure it out. But you won't be able to hold a relationship down unless you're ready for it. And unless you're ready for it, and you got to do the work and clean and clear and understand who you are and say, okay, well, I'm not going to settle for just a that'll do situation. Because a lot of people do, you know. Why are you dating that guy? He's boozing all the time. He doesn't have a good job. He's not very nice to you. He doesn't shower. Well, he loves me. But does he really? And say, I could say the same sort of story, vice versa. It's not always about male or females. I'm not having the poke. I'm the poke at relationships in general. So unless you're going to do the work, you're not going to find it. And then what happens is love is a strange emotion. Everybody's looking for it. Um, but you're not going to attract it unless you're on that frequency. And it's like walkie-talkies. I usually have a few on the desk here, but I don't know where they are today. So if you got a walkie-talkie, you're broadcasting on Channel 9 and no one's answering because your soulmate or the person you're supposed to be with is on Channel 16. So either he's got to change his frequency to you if you've done the work, or you got to change your frequency by doing the work. So once you're in alignment, you're both broadcasting on the same frequency, you'll find each other. And I hear these stories all the time of people, not even been looking, but they realize that they've had a traumatic event in their life, near-death experience, death of the mother, death of the father, really bad breakup, bad divorce, can't believe it. She took everything, can't believe it. He was sleeping with my neighbor, my best friend. That happens so much, doesn't it? People sneaking around with a best friend. I mean, how bad can that be? Imagine if the karma and the energy. Ooh, I just couldn't sleep at night with that thing. Why did I do that? Drank all them glasses of wine. Next thing you know, I'm sleeping with the neighbor who's best friends with my wife. How people do that shit, insecurity. So you've got to get on the right frequency. You're not going to reach a frequency until you do the healing, and you're not going to get the love situation until you've done all that work. And it isn't easy, but there are help and videos and support groups out there. You can get it done. You get it done. But you've got to ask yourself, what's the problem? Is it me? Am I, one of my problems was because I talk all day. When I come home, I just want to be quiet, and my partner, years ago, this was, they're at home all day by themselves. So when I come home, like, hey, babe, what's going on? Tell me about your day. What did you do? Where did you go? How did it go? What happened with this? And I thought, I've been blah, blah, three languages all day. I just wanted, can I just, oh, you never want to talk to me. You don't want to talk to me. You don't share nothing. All day long talking to your friends and everybody. But when you come home to me, it's nothing. It's true. It's true. Because I was exhausted from talking all day. And that is quite a big thing in couples, I've found. The communication, they're not on the same wavelength. Because she's at home alone all day and you're at work all day on the phones or whatever you're doing. By the time you get home, you're shat. You don't want to have a Spanish Inquisition. You're telling me where you were all day. You don't want to do it. But it ended up meaning we drifted apart. That was the mother of my son. That's a long time ago, but I remember we just ended up, not having anything to talk about, just saying, what? So, let me just check my list now. Many lost people seeking answers. They are. They are. They really are. So, I think the other biggest problem with the love thing, because it's probably the number one question I get, is are you attracting the same archetype? You know, most of my relationships have been a person that needs fixing, a person that has particularly personality traits, and it's always the same. You get into something and after 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, everything is amazing, the first honeymoon period, but all of a sudden you're like, hang on a second. What do you mean? Where am I? And what time am I coming back? And texting me, and 500 messages saying, you promised you'd be back at 5. It's now 5:15. you know. So, are you attracting the same type of person? Someone that needs repairs? Are you the repair stop shop? because this is the number one thing that people misunderstand. You'll attract the same type of person. So again, put your boundaries down. Do your due diligence. Know your clients, like the banks do. Know your customer. Know your partner. Why not ask him all the questions or her all the questions um, before you get into that? Because if you're going to keep attracting the same type of people, you're going to have the same type of problems. My problem, what I've been told now is I'm going to attract somebody that I would never have even thought about being romantically involved with. I cannot for the life of me. I mean, what would that be? I don't know if it's a nationality or a type or you know, like Japanese. I've never dated a Japanese person, so I don't know. I'm very curious to know, but they said it's going to be someone you would normally not go for. So, what's my normal type? There isn't really. There isn't like a set. Here's a mold. Let's hope they're human, exactly. Let's hope they're the same sex. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? What? Hang on, what now? How long have I been a man? What do you mean? How long have I? I've always been a man, and you haven't. Yeah, that would never happen to me. I would absolutely figure that out. So yeah, are you attracting the same type of person into your life? Because you got to stop doing that. And again, go back to do the work, figure out who you want, what you want, set the boundaries up, and you can absolutely change that. But it boils down to the same thing, If the same problem keeps coming up, it's the same type of fix that you have to do. So you're not fixing the problem, are you? You know what? It's like you've got bad brakes in the car. Let's just put a little bit of fluid in there, or the water's leaking in the sink. Yeah, it's still leaking, but it's all right. Eventually, it's not, is it? It's not going to be all right. Eventually, the floodgates are going to fall or flow. So, are you the savior archetype, unconsciously attracting a broken partner? Yeah, is that what's happening to you? Ask yourself that, and if it is, why don't you work on changing it? You know, go for somebody that you normally wouldn't go for. A lot of people go, a lot of people go for above. They call it punching above your weight. They go for like a small chubby man would go for like, a very attractive woman. I'm like, go for somebody that you're more or less on the same wavelength with. And then guy with no job, he's got a drink problem and he's got a few teeth missing. He says, no, I would never date her. She's not good enough for me. I'm like, have you looked in the mirror, mate? It's amazing how many people have got a high opinion of themselves. It's like, I like having a good opinion of yourself, but come on, be realistic. Be realistic in your love goals. You know, You're not going to get a Tom Cruise if you look like Rosie O'Donnell, are you? So be more realistic in your aspect out there. And I also found here's something I've noticed. I've met some amazingly beautiful women over the years, especially in the film game. They come on for a day. They got day actresses coming on, and there's the pool shots. So they get these beautiful girls by the pool, and they've got most amazing bodies. And someone asked me, he said, Mahoney, with all of the women that you meet from all over the world, how come you still sing? I said, because they might be beautiful on the outside, but they're not on the inside. You talk to them, there's just nothing there. And that's the way, I'm not interested in that. It's like having an accessory hanging off your arm. If there's no banter, if there's no connection, there's no point. There's no point. Um, and then I've met, some really sort of how do you just it's kind of slightly overweight, nothing special girls, but yeah, man, you're screaming, laughing at them because they're such good fun. I mean, that maybe I mean, in a man's world, they say, the less attractive women make up for their personalities, but do they really? I think it's just, I think they're just more relaxed. They're not always concerned about who's looking at them and what makeup we're wearing and have I got the right shoes on. But I've had a lot of fun with just normal people. They're not always so far up their own asses they think they're just fantastic. Um, and then the film business, the egos that come out of people is like, and I usually don't get on with them when I'm on set, I tend to just go on set and I don't try to be friendly. Like my personal, well, this sounds really pretentious, doesn't it? My personal trainer, I work out with a friend of mine called Matt, who is a professional trainer, and we do little trade deals. I'll get him and then he does this and so. But he was on the set. He came on the set, and I met him on the set, and I didn't really pay much attention to him. I was polite and hello, but when I'm on the film set, I just kind of get on the film set and do my stuff because the politics involved with all of these sort of people and egos, it just I can't do it. It's not interesting, and no, 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 no. So, and this brought me to another thing. I started asking a few friends of mine. A couple of friends of mine are on dating apps. Tinder tends to come up, although I don't think that's the most popular one now. I don't do them. Um, it's not been my thing. I think I'm just a bit old school and I'm waiting for a bit of divine intervention there. But they're also full of toxic people. I've got a friend of mine, Thomas, recently divorced. He's on Tinder and he's showing me pictures of these amazing women. I'm like, oh, she looks nice. She looks great. What's the matter with her? What's that? Oh, she's crazy. She's crazy. This one's nuts. He's from Denmark. And I don't know what it is about Thomas. I mean, he's a bit younger than me, only a few years, but he's slightly losing his hair now, and he's not really taking care of his skin. He kind of looks older than he is, but he's got all of these dates lined up. And the bottom line is, from what I've understood from various people talking about this, dating apps are full of toxic people that have not done the healing work, and all they want to do is get into a rebound relationship, and they're looking for a miracle to get them through the rest of their life. They're looking for that Julia Roberts moment when Richard Gere walks in Pretty Woman. Now, I'm not saying these women are prostitutes. I'm just saying they're looking for that miracle, white knight in shining armor. But from what I gather from the nightmare stories, they're full of toxic people. And I imagine full of toxic men as well. Men whose egos are just off the charts, using pictures of themselves from 10 years ago, pretending they're millionaires and wealthy just to get a date. And, oh no, my Ferrari isn't working. It's in the shop today. So I'm in my Ford today, which is the cleanest car, really. Men will lie, women will, you know, do the same thing, but they do it with makeup and clothes that make them look amazing. And then, of course, you got the whole toxic, injections, Botox and everything else. So people are just so far off the track with with a life mission. And it's because at the start of this, I sense a battle between good and evil. Look at this glass. I cannot get these glasses to get this water stain out of them. I've been trying for weeks. It looks disgusting, that, doesn't it? But it's just, I think it's scratched to hell. Anyway, life between darkness and light, the constant battle. Because the temptation that Satan and his band of merry demonic warriors will put in your path is something that everybody needs to be aware of. Now, this came up today. We were talking about people with demonic attachments. Yeah. Now, how many people have ever encountered somebody with a demonic attachment? Is anybody in the chat tonight that's actually come across something like that? Do you want me to? Yep. Jody has. Who else has? Jackie. Yep. Julianne Cole says, my first husband, Julianne, obviously. My first husband. Is he buried in the garden? Julianne. He said he was the devil. So I see it. I've seen it in quite a few women. And when I confront them about it, they run. They don't like it with me. And it usually comes out when they're angry. It would just pop up, you see that, yeah, their eyes change, don't they? Their eyes change color. And then my experience is they say the most horrific things, like, how can that come out of such a beautiful person? Yeah. So I've seen it, and they normally run with me there when I confront them saying, I need to pull that out. I'd like to actually be interesting to try with my skills now to pull it out of somebody. I think I could. I think I could pull it out. But you'd be surprised how many people have this darkness attached to them. And they all try to disguise it, they all try to cover it up, and this battle between good and dark is going on. It is going on. And there's a lot of people, trust me, I know what I'm talking about, that perform daily tasks with this dark attachment to them. And I know people that pretend to be in the light and from the light and are currently active in this um, light worker industry. I saw an interview with somebody the other day, actually. I was like, oh, I haven't seen that person for a while, a couple of years. I had a little look and I was like, yep, it's still in him. It's still, that was a him, this one. It was still in him. I see it. I see it. And they're always on the trick. They're always trying to fool you, don't touch that and don't go there. But they are present in people, and these are the people that you don't want next to you. And if you are radiating light, they're going to be attracted to you like a moth to a flame. So going back to the original point is, are you the savior archetype? Are you still attracting the same people? Are you bringing a person into your life that's full of toxicity and is the owner of a possessor of a demonic possession, a little demonic buddy that pops out every now and again and raises his head or their head? So be careful of those. You don't want those hanging around yourself. Now, where else have I got there? Oh, you know what I did a really good exercise today is looking into the eyes of someone, a stranger, for 5 minutes. This one of my first girlfriends, 1 minute lovely, and switched dark. Yeah, looks like a haggis, very dark energy. Looked like a hag, a hag. Yeah, yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it. Um, so I did this exercise today with a stranger where you have to look in their eyes for 5 minutes. And you can look at this one, look at this one, look at this one. So we put the timer on. It's actually quite difficult to do because you keep kind of smiling a bit and you want to kind of look away. But what I learned is, so at the end of the exercise, what did you learn? What did you learn? I was like, well, one of the eyes, so it would have been the left eye, looking at the person. Yeah. Left eye is the past, and the right eye is the future. And when I was looking at them, there were different eyes. Okay, they were different shape, and it was probably the way we were sitting in the light. But it's like, one of them looks like it's sort of studying me. Imagine this eye like this, right? You could try this with your partner or your boyfriend, or try it with the guy on the bus next to you. Just start staring at him, or the guy on the train going to work. Smack. So I noticed that one of them was like this kind of, yeah, studying, like, I don't really approve. And then the other one was like really, it was a female, it's really like sparkling. It's sort of, hey, kind of flirty. But it wasn't. She was just looking back at me as I was looking at her. And so we exchanged what we figured out. And I said, you're hiding something because you're blinking too much. Every time, because when you do television and film work, one of the tricks is you don't blink when you're delivering a line, say, I can't believe that you would come here and not give me my fair share of all the money that we robbed from the bank. It's not on. We planned this job together and now you double cross me. I'm going to kill you. So you don't blink and it keeps you in the intensity. So next time you watch the film, you'll notice the actors still have the blinking. But most of the scenes they'll do, their eyes will be open and they'll do this. They'll look at the camera and then they'll blink. They'll close their eyes and come back like that. That's a technique that a lot of them do. So I was doing this. I was like, because I can keep my eyes open for quite a long time without blinking. And I'm watching, moving my head. And I noticed, okay, this eye, different shape. It's like, yeah, like authority, bit sad, carrying it had an energy of, I don't want you to see my sadness. And I'm pretending to be in control, but I'm not really, you know? And then the other one was like flirtatious and young and full. Hey, I know what we should do. Let's go here. Why don't we go dancing? It's this really young, energetic. And the person is about 40, I suppose. And then I said, what did you see the same thing back. She says, well, I saw all of your past lives in that one, all of that stuff, battles and wars and fighting. And then in the other one, a very bright, interesting future filled with love. Yeah. I can't do that. Does that even look like a love poem? People do that. No, it doesn't, does it really? It just looks like you're having some sort of seizure. So, very interesting exercise. But with Shima, she's got this whole online course that you can do if you're interested in doing this Akashic Records access. So you're going through a meditation, and then there's a special, I would say a prayer, some words that you have to say. You have to go in there. It takes about 10 minutes of the meditation. You're coming in this way, and then you're bringing light in this way, and then you're kind of flowing either way. And then you're doing some grounding, and then there's another little piece that you got to do, and you kind of find yourself at the Golden Gates with a key in your hand. Now, my because there's three types. You can hear it, you can see it, or you can feel it. And my skill is I'm a feeler. I can feel things. So I can feel when there's something wrong. I can feel the energy. I can feel that something over there I need to do. I can feel I've got a bad feeling about this. Got a bad feeling. So I was feeling things. And then we did this exercise and they said, okay, you're going to ask the lords of the Akashic Records to access yours because there are some rules. And the rules are you can't abuse it. Like you're not going to say, okay, give me the winning lottery numbers, or I want to know what my ex-husband is. You can't. You can access on level one, you can access your own records. And you can see you got to ask a specific question. You can't ask yes or no. You got to say, can you show me um my records for ancient Greece or Atlantis or Egypt or Victorian England or London? If you've got something about that and you want to have a look at that. And then what happens is, and it gets stronger as the more you practice. For me today, I saw images, was what I saw. And then you're going to decode them. So I was looking at Egypt, and it was like I was looking at someone walking down this long corridor, but it was dark, and then it just looked like somebody had a torch in their hand, and they were lighting it up, and I got a quick glimpse of it, and I was like, "What is that? I can't see what it is. Keep the torch there." So it's early days for me. It's early days, and the more that you practice and go in, the more that it becomes easier. But with all of these skills that you should be learning it gets well, you first of all you need to understand what it means. For example, if you keep seeing the same numbers, 747, 1111, you know, I see a lot of these numbers all the time. And a lot of people ignore them. Do you know when you buy a new car or a car, and then all of a sudden you see them everywhere? It's like, I never even noticed this car, but look at that, there's another one. And then you end up parking next to one. Sounds like you're on a good journey, great journey. Yeah, it's early days yet. I mean, I'm hopeful I'm going to get the hang of it because very intuitive. I get it just bursts, it bursts out of my mouth, and my intuition is spot on. Um, I rang a friend of mine the other day. I said talked about their nanny. I said, "Is your nanny from Colombia?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Is the name Alejandra?" Yeah, the middle name Maria Alejandra. I said, who's the mother? And it was a totally different mother to because I thought it was somebody's daughter. And I don't even know why that went in my head, but I was right. Nanny was from Colombia and the name was Alejandra. And I haven't figured out what that means yet. I'll get round to it, but it's not from the same line as I thought it was. But that could be significant. It could mean, hey, the Alejandra that you were thinking about, whose mother, she might need you to contact her. Maybe she's sick. You just don't know. This is what intuition is all about. And if you're getting these intuitive feelings like this and your skills and powers are coming online more, then you should absolutely embrace it and encourage it. I would highly encourage you to do this. Intuition, yeah. I saw part of Shima. She's very good, talk so fast. Lots of good stuff. Her accent is, because she is from Persia, her accent is sometimes the way that she pronounces words. But and also her microphone wasn't good. She forgot to plug in a professional studio mic. But we are gonna do another talk. I'm gonna ask her to do a series of like, okay, entry level. This is how this is. This is how this is. Instead of a broad aspect of everything, I'm gonna sort of specialize in doing this. But according to Shima, everybody has this capability of accessing these Akashic records, and you can get information about all of your past lives. I got information about at least 9 or 10, and I absolutely knew it. Somebody said today something when I started gigging, I was like, yeah, I know about that. I know about that. And if I was to share it, you'd think, oh, yeah, we fucking go, yeah, this fucking geezer. Because everybody wants to be everybody wants to be the Julius Caesar. They all want to be what was the guy's name? Achilles. They all want to be these heroes from the past. I'll tell you one part of it, but it's only a hint of it. There's Julius Caesar. I was a friend of Julius Caesar, which absolutely explains why I'm so drawn to all this Roman stuff. Have you seen how many times I'm doing Roman ruins and wandering around, seem to find it? I was a friend of Julius Caesar in the military, and I was killed about the same time as he was because when he was put to the sword, when he was murdered, they murdered all his mates as well. So because it took out all that part of the Senate, and there's just stuff about that, all that history. I find myself as it comes on, I'm like, supermodel sitting next to me. Yeah, of course there is, Mahoney. There isn't. There isn't. There isn't. I was going to say something else there, but that's too much of a jab. Keep the blows above the belt. um, but it's something I would highly encourage you to do, and you can do an online course as well. I'm going to try to negotiate for a special rate for anybody that wants to do it. What else happened in that one? Um, I had a love. Apparently, I had a somebody else I know who I'm absolutely amazing friends with this woman, and a lot of people think that we're together, but we're not. I've known her for about 12 years, and really good friend of mine. Lives in Seville. And she came up because I was curious. Because one of the questions were, why have we never been romantically involved when, we get on so well? And she said, I just don't. I said, I'm the same. I'm the same. Beautiful girl, beautiful. But just we don't have chemistry. So I thought, let's ask about that. And we had a lifetime together in Egypt, ancient Egypt, as normal people. No royalty, no pharaohs, no Cleopatras, just normal people. We had 6 children together. She's sitting by the river, small little petite woman, and the message came across saying, thank you for being the perfect masculine man. You did exactly what you were supposed to do. Provided for the family, we're loving and supportive and loyal and trustworthy. We lived a beautiful life together and we loved each other from when we first met to when we died. And the message came from a higher consciousness, this friend of mine. And the message was, it was such a beautiful life. I've always wanted to thank you for it. And I was like, oh, so when you do these meetings, you get a transcript. It's sent back to you as well, so you can read through it. And I sent it. And she's like, yeah, it's so nice. So nice. And then I was a knight around 1200s and just doing my thing. And she was the daughter of a king and she tried to kill herself. And I saved her and brought her back to the castle. And she hated me because she wanted to die because she didn't have a voice and she had to do, very repressive in those days, being a woman. And that was why we had a karmic tie because she felt guilty because I did something good, but she always had a resentment against it. Um, and here's the weird thing, right? The weird thing is because when you go to this meeting, you arrive and then you sit, you arrive, and every time you go into the meeting, you either dress differently or holding something differently. So this time I was holding a pigeon, a white dove, yeah, a dove. And when I get to the gates, the lords of the Akashic take the dove Oh no, they offered me a cage, and I put the dove in a cage, and then I put the cage down on the table. And I said, "What's the significance of a dove? I don't like doves or pigeons, right?" But then when I sent the whole transcript to this woman, she said, she had 14 birds in her house last summer. She was raising birds. She has a thing for birds. And on her window ledge, on all of them, there was pigeons nesting in her plant pots. Because she has this, she says, I said, what, your geraniums? She said, no, I've got this like wild grass. I don't really water them. It just kind of weeds, it just grows. So these pigeons had built nests on her little tiny little terrace, and you could hear this ooh, ooh, all over the house. So she has a thing about doves, about pigeons. So the significance of that was when I said that, she was cracking up laughing. She said, I'll tell you the story. So, because at the end of the ceremony, she came in and she took the dove out of the cage and let it go. And so it was confirmation that this was the higher consciousness of this person. So it's fascinating stuff. You're probably thinking this guy's kind of tough. I mean, there'll be people out there saying, yeah, Mahoney, you've lost it, pal. You really have lost it. But it's really interesting what you can learn and things that they tell you, like, yeah, I absolutely feel that. No, that's exactly, yeah, yeah, you're right, you're right. So I'll negotiate some special rate. And if you want to take a free consultation with one of Shima's staff, I'm sure she'll arrange it. Um, it is fascinating. I'm going to dig in deeper because it's going to help me on my journey because I'm only getting started, but I know I'm going to do something really clever in 2026. And it's going to get that message of love, light, strength, and honor. Is going to break through all that toxic shit out there that people have been spoon fed. And I'm going to push out the darkness and get them to turn back and start asking themselves questions. Exactly all this stuff that I've been recording and talking about. I want to reach a lot of people. I'm talking millions. That's the goal. To get all of a sudden everybody going, huh, you know what? Maybe I should give up, you know, cheating on my partner and lying and, changing the names of mistresses in my phone to cell phone repair store when really her name is Celia. Because people do that shit. People do that shit. Yeah, it has been an hour, hasn't it? Um, the spiritual side is much more fun. Yeah, you know what? Every time I get up in the morning and out the door, I go, I don't know what's going to happen. And it's like living in a film script. You gotta just understand where it's going. Um, and let go of the steering wheel. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope there's something in there that you can relate to and tune into. And I'll be back on Tuesday. I'll get somebody else next week on the show. I think I've got Nicholas Vinyamin on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. I like doing his shows. We get huge numbers. People love us together. And my phone started blowing up already. Look at that. 4 minutes passed, and I've already had three missed calls from people. They know my schedule, doesn't it? Um, yeah. That's the group I'm on texting saying, what a great day. Best Friday ever. Looking forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks for a magical day. It truly was a magical day. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, whatever you're doing. And, listen to what I'm saying. It's not going to change my life, what you do with your life, is it? But you've got all the tools out there. You just got to tune in and focus. And again, I get it. It's not always easy to do it. It's not always easy to do it. But let's see how you get on. Go down and write down all the things that you find fascinating, and that'll send you on your journey. And then if you are still looking for answers about what is my life journey, what should I be doing? We can help you with that as well. But you can only help the ones that want to help themselves. Look to the eyes. Yeah, have a look. Try that exercise. 5 minutes, turn the phone on. It's not easy. I'll see you Tuesday, guys. Yeah. Have a great weekend. Stay out of trouble and do something memorable. You know, Early January, it's mid-January now. The weeks are flying by. I only took my Christmas tree down yesterday because I've been traveling. I was hoping nobody would see the lights through the windows. I was like, But I'm always sad to take my tree down. Always a bit sad. Anyway, guys, I'm rambling. I'll see you next week. Enjoy your weekend. Lots of love and light. Stay tuned for more. Bye bye.